All right. So today, what you're going to be doing for most of the block is working on this SQL sheet, which is going to ask you to write all sorts of queries. You're going to try to write the queries in the database, and then you're going to copy and paste your results into this sheet. But before you get started on that, I do want to do one more sort of entity relationship diagram practice, but it's going to be a little different. All right, so on this one, I'm not going to ask you to sketch out all of the tables and all of the attributes and everything else. I'm going to give you 5 tables, and here those 5 tables are. All right, this is for a TV show database, so it can keep track of all different shows. It can keep track of the seasons of the show, the episodes of the show, the characters of the show, and then like which characters were in which episodes and so on and so forth. Right, so it's got 5 tables, again, the same size as your project. And what I'm looking to have you do here is not really worry about the information that goes in this table. So like, oh, what do we want to know about shows? What do we want to know about seasons? What do we want to know about characters? But instead, focus on the relationships between the tables and the keys necessary to implement those relationships. All right. So, for example, is there a relationship between shows and seasons? And if so, is it a one-to-one, a one-to-many, or a many-to-many? All right. And then also, what keys are necessary to implement those relationships? All right. So every table always needs a primary key. And then when there's a many-to-many relationship, all right, we need that table that sort of goes in between the two of them, the linking table. And again, you won't have to make any tables. So with these 5 here, maybe one of them is a linking table, one of them's not. That's up for you to decide. And then kind of which keys become foreign keys. So just remember that when you have a one-to-many relationship, the primary key from the one becomes a primary key, foreign key in the many. So let me say that again. All right. When you have a one-to-many relationship, the primary key from the one side of the relationship moves over to the many side and becomes a foreign key. All right. So give some thought to this. Think about the connections between these different tables. Pause the video, try it out, and then when you come back, I'm going to show you my solution. All right. So here is my solution. All right. So you'll see I have a one-to-many relationship between shows and season. So one show can have many seasons, but the seasons tie back to a specific show. So here I have a show ID that's the unique identifier for the show. And because this is a one-to-many, this primary key comes up here and becomes a foreign key. All right. And this is how I know which of these seasons actually tie back to which show. Right. You'll see here I also have a season ID. Every table has its primary key. Then there's another one-to-many relationship between seasons and episodes. One season has many episodes, but each episode only belongs to one specific season. So again, because it's a one-to-many, I'm taking the primary key from the one, which is the season ID, and making it a foreign key up here on the many side. All right, so again, this is how I know which season each episode actually ties back to. All right, now down here, there's actually a many-to-many relationship between episodes and characters. All right, one episode can have many characters. Each character can appear on many episodes. So there's a many-to-many relationship between these two tables. And I do that and manage that with this linking table that I'm calling the cast table. All right. So this cast table lets me implement the many-to-many relationship between characters and episodes. All right. So when you do this linking table, you've got the primary key from this side going up to the linking table. You've got the primary key from this side going to the linking table. And this just becomes basically pairs of numbers. So it's like, oh, character 1 was on episode 2. Character 1 was on episode 4. Character 2 was on episode 7. and so on and so forth. Character 3 was on episode 4. Character 3 was on episode 7. But these pairs of numbers will let you know who was on which episode. All right. So again, this is kind of one way to lay it out. It's the size that your project needs to be. So if you wanted to do some sort of TV database, you could use this as sort of a framework. But again, it's this focus on these keys because these are really what ties the database together and allows us to implement the relationships that we need. All right. And you can see it's pretty similar to the music database. All right. This would be like our artist. This would be like our album. This would be like our track. The characters are like our users. And then we have this cast is like our collection table from the music database. All right, so it's got a similar setup. All right, now going back to the music database. All right, this is where you're going to be working out of today. If you don't have it, remember it is posted on Google Classroom, or I sent you an email last week that has it in it. When you download it, if it says enable content up at the top, just don't forget to click OK on that. It's going to be fine. You've got these 5 tables here. What I would recommend when you start writing your queries is go to Database Tools, go to Relationships, and keep this window open, all right? Because this shows you all 5 tables, and it shows you the fields in each table. So it's a really useful sort of reference for you to have. As far as writing your queries, that's in the Create tab. You're going to go to Query Design. All right, it's going to open up this. It might say like Show Table. You can ignore all that. All you need to do is right-click on this and go to SQL View, or you can click the big SQL View button in the top left corner. That'll bring up this empty white screen, and this is where you're going to be typing and writing your queries. All right, now each query, you could save it if you wanted to. Like when you finish one, you can right-click and choose Save and give it a name. But I'm also fine with you just writing it in here, making sure that it works. So let's pretend the first one was like select song name. I'm going to use this one here. So select song name, comma, song length from song. All right, so select song name, comma, song length from song. All right, so you should use Access to make sure that it works. So again, you can either right-click and go to Datasheet View, or click up here and go to Datasheet View. Once you're confident that it worked, okay, there's my song names, those are my song lengths, you can go here, you can highlight what you've done, you can right-click and choose Copy, or you can use Control-C, that's another quick way of copying, and then you're going to paste it back inside of this document. So again, this document is going to ask you to write a whole bunch of different queries, and you just want to try to come up with the SQL that each of those is asking for. If you get stuck, go back and watch the video from last week. All right. In that video, I go over order by, I go over where, I go over between, I go over dates, text, numbers, all of those different things that you're going to need to be able to do this activity. All right. So best of luck. One last tip that I'll give you, just because this is things kids sometimes forget. When you're doing a where, all right, if it's text, you have to put it inside of quotes. If it's a date, you have to put it inside of hashtags. And if it's just a number, you don't use anything at all. All right, so again, that should be enough to get you started. Good luck. And if you have any questions or run into any big problems, just send me a message. All right, have a great day.